Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential. Chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Performance Enhancing Podcast with your host, Ilan Ferdman. Today, we're going back to where it all started. This is Beer Talk number 8. Can't believe it. Guy was in town. We had just gotten back from Traffic and Conversion Summit and decided we're going to do Beer Talk about our takeaways from TNC. So we spoke about a bunch of things like why events are so important when you're in a niche specific or a certain type of business, focusing on others and not yourself, how to get the most out of every event that you attend, and how to go about creating very powerful relationships that can then lead to powerful projects, powerful partnerships, etc. So with that said, let's dive right in to Beer Talk number 8. Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to where it all started. This is like the original Beer Talk.
I think the last one was here too.
Was it really? I don't think so. Well, in any event, we have another first. This is Beer Talk, number 8?
8.0.
So we decided to pull out for the very first time beer in a can.
What you got there?
These are new. This is actually from the beer that you got me, the American Beer Club, which is kind of cool. It's they send you monthly beers. It's a 12-pack, 4 different beers, 3 of each. So this one was all cans.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. This one's Mountain Brewing Company called Mountain Living Pale Ale.
Is that Colorado?
That's a good question.
No, these guys say they're in Texas.
Yeah, Colorado.
Okay. So mine is Terralingua Gold. It's a golden ale, handcrafted in the far west Texas. Texas.
I didn't know those guys made beers.
They do.
I thought they just made pork.
It's pork.
Delicious pork.
Pork, moonshine, and beer.
So while we're doing that, let's tell these fine folks what we have in store for them this time.
After you, good sir.
Okay. So recently we came back from TNC. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's the Traffic and Conversion Summit run by Ryan Dice and the digital marketer team. And cheers.
Cheers, man.
Oh, yours looks nice and heady.
I got some.
It's a nice color.
I don't even know if I can take a sip yet.
That's a lovely pale ale.
Nice too.
How's yours?
Very nice. All right.
Try that.
This one's got a really nice aroma. Really nice.
It's nice and honey. Anyway, back to Ryan Dyson Digital Marketer Team. So we came back from TNC. We actually held a live event there, multiple live events. One was a party at night. One was more of a day kind of strategy session. But there were a lot of takeaways for us from that event. And I wanted us to kind of share with people what we got out of it after being that this was your second time, right?
Second time, yeah.
It was my first. So we'll share with you a little bit about the experience, but mostly the takeaways. And in that, I mean the relationships, the partnerships, the business ideas that were created, and things like that. Because whatever industry you're in, if you're not going to an industry event, you always want to think, especially when people start new businesses, I'm always shocked. Like, how do you not go to an event? Because for me, more than anything, aside from the information is, I want to know if the people that are in that business or industry are people that I actually resonate with.
I'm actually not that shocked because when we were in banking, I never went to one industry event.
Oh, I went to plenty.
Did you?
Oh,
really?
yeah.
I didn't go to any.
I hated them.
I resisted networking because of the people I knew that would be there.
Yeah.
I just so not my thing. But anyway,
Yeah. Well, I'll give you this good point because the contrast of the finance world, which is where I came from, to this. I remember being at the first event for marketing and people working online, entrepreneurs, and how vastly different it was than the finance ones. Because in finance, the way it basically is, and not to sound all gross and graphic, but it's a male-dominated industry, and pretty much it was every guy walking around being like, whose dick is bigger than whose dick in the room. And it was really annoying. It's very cutthroat. No one's there to help you. They're all either, how can you help me, or how can I use you to help myself?
Right.
And the world that we are in now is so insanely different. I remember being at the first event and just kind of like looking over my shoulder, thinking that at some point I was getting punked.
Yeah.
Like,
Ashton!
Yeah.
Ashton!
Not really how it is. But then you get used to it and you're like, wow, people actually care about people. This is pretty wild.
Yeah.
So let's just talk a little bit about personal experiences and stuff like that. Why don't you start? Because this was your second time being there.
Yeah.
What did you notice in the year, in the year between? What did you notice at the event?
Well, I mean, this was a starkly contrast to an event than it was last year, just because I actually didn't attend any of the actual event.
Same here.
Yeah, we actually went to the event and spent 3 days talking to people, networking, meeting up with people who we've either have done business with or currently doing business with or might be doing business with, and or people that we could help in terms of our own agency and stuff like that, our own Facebook marketing agency. So I actually didn't get to see any of the content. I'll definitely be watching the recorded stuff online. So in that way, it was a really different event, but it was extremely valuable nonetheless. For those of you who haven't
Which is really funny to think, right? So we went to an event, which is an expensive event. And we didn't go to see one piece of content.
Right.
And yet it was still, the reason we're going to talk about it, it was still probably, in my book, one of, if not the most impactful events for our business that we've ever been to.
Well, there's that infamous line, your network is your net worth, right?
Yep.
So ultimately, again, another infamous line is it's not what you know, it's who you know, that kind of stuff. And I have to say, to an extent, that's very true. I mean, what you know leads to who you know. I think a lot of times people leave that out because your experiences and your education, stuff like that, is what gives you opportunity to network and work with people at higher echelons of different industries. But it's based on your level of mastery. I mean, 4 years ago, we could have spent 3 days outside the event networking and we just had no value to provide to anybody at the higher levels. Today, it's like this nice trade of value back and forth between where they are and where we are. So it was really different in that way. But again, like Ilan said, very valuable. And the interesting part about traffic and conversion, and it's not to plug it or to get you guys over there, out of all the industry events, it's the one that almost everybody comes to. Yeah. It really is like the high school reunion of the industry. And it's
you know what I've told people? We used to, we both DJ, but me and a buddy of mine used to do it pretty regularly. We were playing in some clubs in the city. So 3 years we got to go spin at the Winter Music Conference, which is an event held for DJs and everyone that loves electronic music in Miami. And what happened over the years, originally people had vinyl. So they would come there. The idea was to come and actually share their music.
Right.
Because there was no digital products. There was no CDs that you could mail. You're not mailing vinyl, right? So they would come and share music and hang out with each other. And through the years, it kept growing and growing because more and more DJs understood, well, this is where all of my counterparts are going to be. And so now it's just a massive reunion every year for all of the top DJs because they all know where they're going to be for about 2-3 weeks in March. They're all going to be in Miami. And TNC is that for entrepreneurs.
Which is why it's called Winter Music Conference, not Winter Music Festival. Yeah. Because it really is a conference for DJs, or used to be.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So what did I get out of it? I mean, I think every time I go to a big event like this, for me, it's personal recognition of how much we've grown in this last year. Also, my ease around talking to people and not seeing that, like, when you first get in, you see this big gap between you and when people are successful. Less of a gap now. I mean, I really don't see a gap at all. I haven't for a while, to be honest. But it was great because we came there to provide value this year. And we used it as a leverage point to really connect with people who we could either work with directly with our business or people we could take on as students or clients. And I honestly thought the coolest part was the fact that we put on live events during the event and just leverage the traffic that was there. And it really made me think this is really like internet marketing, just in the offline space, right? We always tell people, like, don't build the highway, find the best way to build the off-ramp, which is kind of what we did, right? Like traffic and conversion. It's like best people in the world, they're pretty much there. That's where the traffic is. And we just built like little off-ramps so we can kind of isolate them, segregate them a little bit so we could have more personal conversations with them to get to know them a little bit better. And I really thought that was like the value in the event this year.
Yeah. One of the cool takeaways for me, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well, was we've been working with our partner, Jason Hornig, who most of you probably know by now. This was actually my first time meeting him in person.
Right.
Which was absolutely insane. So we've been working together. It was pretty much our year anniversary because we had worked with him a month before TNC last year. And it was our first time. And look, I mean, with today's technology, Skype, or on the phone, either phone or Skype or Google Hangouts or something all the time. By the time I met him, I already knew him. But just, seeing that person in person was pretty incredible. And big things actually are coming down the pike pretty much, I think, because of that event. We decided to rent a loft. All three of us live together. So just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, we showed up at the event, like Guy said, to do two things. One, give value any in which way we could. Mm-hmm. And two, connect with either people that we had worked with in the past or potentially connect with people that we can work with in the future and or help their businesses somehow. And we've talked about networking before, but I just really want to highlight this. One of the things I told people as they were coming to the event is don't focus on you. Try to meet someone that you can connect someone else to. Mm-hmm. Take the onus off of you. Don't always be looking around for strategically who should I meet, who should I not meet. You'd be amazed if all you focus on is helping others get what they want, how they will seek you out. So what ended up happening after our first party, which we had, was we ended up going to another party on day 2. And basically what people did was they would come to either Jason, Guy, or myself and introduce their friends to us and say, hey, here's my friend. He's looking for traffic. He's looking for a Facebook agency. He's looking for someone to help him with their funnels. It wasn't like we were seeking these people out.
Right.
It was just astounding to me. And then what ends up happening is when you create who you are in the world and what your offerings are, but you come from a place of value. So for example, if someone was asking us, I have such and such business, what would you do? And you're just super generous and super giving, just like you would on a consultation that someone would pay you $1,000 an hour for. And you really give it all to them straight. Well, in that person, what ends up happening is they think of you now as the expert in that field. So if they're talking to one of their buddies and their buddy says, hey, I'm working on this, this, and this. Do you know who I should talk to? Well, guess what? You're like the first person that pops up in their head because you provided so much value. So that was a really important takeaway for me, and it was really interesting to see that dynamic. Mm-hmm. And I think that paired with the fact that we put ourselves out there to create a live event, kind of like you said, invite whoever, watch who those people invited and asked us to bring, and then look around the room and realize that there are really, really high-level people networking, closing deals, getting to know each other, etc. And you are somehow the linchpin of that, mm-hmm. absolutely creates a certain level of expertise or you being an expert in that arena.
Yeah. I mean, marketing comes down oftentimes to perception, right? I'm not saying bullshit people and create a perception that's not true.
You just won't last very long because you can't back it up.
That's true. It won't last very long. There won't be integrity in it. It'll fall apart. Integrity pretty much equals what's workable for you. So it's important to do that. I mean, in contrast to what you said, I know somebody who's been coming to TNC for 3 years. And she actually gets mentored by one of the top people in the industry. But from the day I met her, she was always obsessed with meeting, a little bit like a groupie.
Yeah.
Always the groupie people, has to know these people, has to get involved with them. And it's funny because I saw her again this year, and she was one of the few people that I saw year over year that I didn't feel like she grew at all. Right? She, the same conversations we had last year, we had them again. It was there was no progress. And it's again because at least I felt like all her attention was me, right? And I couldn't agree more. And that goes really back to our coaching days. I remember when we used to coach, and I would look at my life, and when I felt like something was wrong, turn myself into a science project, look at myself, put myself under the microscope. And if you're going to put anything under a microscope, you're going to find the cracks. And you do when you start obsessively working on stuff, working on you, working on business, and things just wouldn't work. And then I would take on like coaching commitments where I would coach people for 4 or 5, 6 months at a time and just give all my time to them, concentrate all my efforts on them, and suddenly my life is just working. Like as if by magic, everything was working. And this would happen again and again. For like a few years, I had this phenomenon: work on me, not working, work on them, everything's working. At some point, I had to be like, maybe I should take note of this. Like maybe I should start taking a look at the fact that everything works when I'm not working on me. And it really was a slight but important switch over in my life, because at that point in time, I realized I have to have a business that's looking at giving people value. Otherwise, my life won't work.
Yeah.
That's just how I saw it. So when we built the company, that was one of the pillars of the company, had to be about giving other people value.
Yeah. So one of the things I want you guys to really get clear on, if you go that route like this girl did, where all you're trying to do is meet the higher ups. And I will say that when we started, do you remember walking around and wanting to take pictures with all the top guys in our business? Right. And it was really important to us. And every picture we thought was going to make us $10,000 because now we were associated with these people.
No one cares.
Was that your experience?
Yeah, but nobody cares. I can't look at one image I ever took or one association like that, outside of people that we didn't directly work with that gave any value to our company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it came from a very selfish reason, in the sense of you're trying to, in essence, use someone else's image to associate yourself with. But that's fake if you think about it. How many people are taking pictures with all of these people?
Yeah. It's funny because the only people who ever cared about that are people who also want to associate with that person.
Yes.
But so if you work for a company, other people who know that person within the company are like, oh, cool, they took a picture with them. But that's pretty much where that ends.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I just want to take a quick break here and let you know about our 10-day challenge. All you have to do is head over to SatoriPrime.com/10day, the number 10 day. And in it, we give you a 10-part video series that is absolutely changing lives, and it's completely free. It's a mindset shift in what is possible for you in your life right now. So I just want to read to you what someone has just written me. And they said, what did the 10-day challenge create for me? In summary, a plan of action. A man with a goal and a plan is unstoppable. Your 10-day challenge allowed me to take all that confusion and fear of my situation and see it was a period of transition. I have a plan. I've taken action and I'm implementing. Success is just over the horizon. And that could be the case for you. So head over to SatoriPrime.com/10day, the number 10 day, and grab your 10 free videos today and create a plan of success for you. Now back to the episode. What's interesting though is if you actually provide value and all you focus on is exercise your value, enhance your mastery in something so that you can actually show up into these rooms and give people value. So like we said, 4 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to hold water in any of those arenas. But today, because of work experience and how much we worked on our own mastery, right, we can speak to anyone, no matter how big or small their business is, and absolutely blow their mind. I mean, some of you have probably even taken us up on our 30 for 30 offer. And if you haven't, you should, where we give you a free 30-minute consultation. You just pay a $30 show-up fee. And we will literally blow your mind, right? That's a $500 value. Our hourly rate is $1,000. But we can only do that because we've worked here so often. And you know what the funny part is? I didn't walk away with pictures. I didn't care. But I actually have relationships that matter. Mm-hmm. And because of it, partnerships that matter. And because of that, projects that we are now working on that will ultimately change the world. Mm-hmm. And a picture, it doesn't matter shit.
I will say this, however, that's just kind of where we are now. If I was to track back and look at going to an event, and we didn't go into the event room, but if I was to track back and go into the event room, which I still think is a lot of value in it, I would not overwhelm myself with what I got from there. Yeah. We actually did a video with Jason while we were at TNC, about take 1 or 2 strategies that you see would make a difference for your business, and take one and master that this year.
Yeah.
Apply that to your business, get it in to the highest level, and that'll be your 6 figures for the year just with that one strategy. But get to know it intimately, master it, and then move on it and take action on it decisively.
Yeah. So the other piece that I want to share about, which I just started, partnerships and projects. If you come to an event like that and you're coming from providing good value, actually giving, not worrying about, ooh, I should meet this person because they'd be perfect for me in this and they can help me with that, etc. But you actually come to offer them something. What you'll notice is something, and this is I've just noticed with people that are at a high level, and I'm not talking from business success, I'm just talking spiritually, mentally, high level thinkers. Ultimately, I think what we look for are connections. We look for people that we enjoy being around. If we enjoy being around them, we will figure out ways to work with them. And I feel like what happened, and honestly, half the time it wasn't even talking business. Sometimes, Kyle comes to mind. We were just hanging out, shooting the shit.
It's thought leaders talking to thought leaders, basically.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, we're talking, we're having a good time. We figure out, you know what? Your business does this, ours does that. What if together we come up with something, and then the next thing you know, you come back, you set up a meeting, and you're already talking strategy and synergy on what you guys can do together that matches both of your brands.
Right.
So let's stop it right here, and I want you guys to just take a moment, and if you've been to a live event, think about how you operated in that live event and how after listening to this, maybe you can do things a little bit differently. And if you haven't, I want you to just go back and listen to this and take some serious notes, because when you attend the next live event, going into it with this model will give you so much better results than the way that 99% of people approach these kind of events. So hopefully you guys took a lot from this, because this is really a game changer. When you start creating these type of relationships and these kind of powerful partnerships is when you will grow, and in turn your business will take off. So take this to heart, take a bunch of notes, go out there and start building powerful, long-lasting, fruitful relationships. And until we see you on part 2, have an amazing, amazing day.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Performance Enhancing Podcast. We've taken this pep talk and created a custom action guide so you know exactly what action steps to take now to grow your business. Just head over to SatoriPrime.com/podcast and download it for free. Also, please leave a comment and rate this podcast on iTunes. It'll help us get the word out. Thanks for listening. Now, go and implement. We'll see you next time.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor? Did you read my